Alright guys, so welcome back to game number 4 in the Two Towns tournament for the ESOC Grand Tour Season 3, so the 2022 edition. And we've got the Two Towns event, so these players both spawn with a bonus town centre, as well as the fairly standard supremacy start. And we've got a French pick from Optimus, English pick from Ezad, British, that's my AoE4 player showing through, apologies guys. So right now in the series, Ezad leads the series 2-1, and this is his match point. If he wins this, he goes home the champion. So Optimus will be doing everything in his power to take the series to 2-2 and try and force a 3-2 reversal, considering he lost the 2 opening games, but had a really strong showing last game on his Japanese against Ezad's Indians. So we'll have the VOD of that up as well. So we've got fairly early hunting dogs for Optimus. For Ezad, sorry. Optimus a little slower with his, now getting it. Just now getting it, and so both players with a fairly quick hunting dogs actually. Trying to fight over this treasure here. So Optimus had a really nice steal from Ezad last game, and this game he's able to take that center treasure. So we got Lady Ezad up against Samuel de Condamine, as well as that little scout that the French player gets over the British player. I keep gonna say English, but it's not English, it's British. So 2 houses, market and hunting dogs. And we've got just the market, because you got the town centre giving you the initial, I think it's 20 or is it 10 pop? I think it might be 10 pop. The starting town centre I think gives you double. I think I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure second town centres and third and whatever only give you 10 pop, I think. Another nice treasure there. So Optimus hoping he can grab that one. While I think Ezad's going to be safe to take this nice food treasure. It's a big amount of XP, 130. So we've already had some careers sent there for Optimus. Ezad's already sent his bonus settlers. Hasn't really opted for his fishing yet. May look to go for it behind it, but I would have thought, considering you've already got 2 TC Vil production, maybe you would be better off going for the fishing. But I suppose once you do that, you're really slowing down your age up. So you might also be better off pressuring, because at this level these guys are going to look to punish each other for the smallest amount of detected booming, particularly if it's fairly unsafe. So like your opponent goes water, you just push on land. You know, they go for a huge land eco, you just push on land. And then follow up with your own greed. I guess it's probably the strat. Oh, this is interesting. So this cougar. How do these guys do it? How do they manage to bug the treasures so well and so favorably? When I try this shit, they all just rush back and heal up to full, and then I'm like left going, oh fuck, well I gotta wait to use another sharp shot, then haven't I? Motherfucker. So how do you do it and still be in the confines of tournament rules as well? Why is it not considered abuse? Abusus. And this is nice. The scout snaring the explorer, so the other explorer can take pot shots at it. Really nice stuff here from Optimus, but Ezad's going to try and garrison the Vils because he can actually shoot from the TC at either of these and take them back. Take back the fight. Take back Lady Ezad's honor. And she's gonna... It's funny, she's got the picture of the male explorer anyway. But is it Lizzie Black? Is that who it's supposed to be? Like, is that the model? They've just reused it, rehashed it. Well, this is a nice find. A healer. I don't know if it benefits the explorer, but I'm pretty sure the surgeons get a nice area damage heal, as well as the opportunity to build explorers. Is it an area heal, or is it a individual? Oh, they actually can. Oh, that's just fucking dandy then, isn't it? Oh shit! Oh shit, son! Nice find here for Optimus. Well, Ezad, he's gonna lock down this area here. That house is actually fairly close towards Optimus. I think this is going to be quite a long game, actually, just judging by the timeline there. That's a really, really nice heal there for Optimus. Finding that surgeon, as long as he doesn't lose it now, and there is an outpost going up, so that'll be able to take nice pot shots at him. Focusing the crew is probably the worst hit there, but that'll be the auto target. He's actually going to go for the explorer, but I wonder if going for the surgeon is better, because the explorer is always going to be able to be healed by the surgeon. So if you can focus down that surgeon early. And I mean, Ezad going to want to try and probably snipe him pretty early once they start having their first couple of fights. But I suppose the French player, actually going double barracks, which is interesting. English player, British player, sorry, single barracks. But I would have thought the French player might want to go for some cavalry, because of the nice rating that you'll get. But in saying that, this allows for having both crossbow and pike production. So pikes mean you can snipe these manors and bows, because yeah, Ezad this time as the British player has that reduced build XP but the full kill XP on these manors, so his opponent can snipe them, get a lot of XP back, and really make investing in pikemen worth it. Plus you can potentially get your opponent housed. Obviously the British player are going to want to build as many manors because they just speed up his vil production, but then, you know, it's not ideal to lose shit at the end of the day. And so this army's not actually able to take an engagement against the longbows. They are slightly stronger and higher range than the crossbowmen in terms of their attack. Slightly less health, but that's pretty negligible, I think. So even with the spears there to support, Ezad's actually managed to repel Optimus at the moment. Other players committed to only water. Optimus looking to get his gold mining. Ezad looking to get his wood chopping techs. So players making some pretty heavy use of that market. A lot of wood incoming here for Optimus, so he will be able to get a stable squeezed in and still manage to get all his houses in. May even be able to look at placing down a dock. He does have a crew right next to the waterline here, so another one over here. So I mean, this gives him a bit of vision at the back of his base, without meaning he's sacrificing a lot of villages. But he can't actually really see that far beyond that. So this treasure, a couple of sheep, nothing really consequential, but it does give you a tiny bit of XP, I think, and you know, get the XP out of killing the Guardians anyway. But Lady Ezad, you're gonna have to micro pretty quickly out of this because the crossbows are gonna focus her down. But in response, a couple of units being chipped away at there by the longbows. So we're shaping up for the first proper battle, I think. And now the crossbow is able to get an attack off. That lone pike being picked off. But now hussars in the mix, so the muskets are going to have to get to work now. Coming forward to try and enter melee range, I think, on the hussars. At the same time, Optimus is going to try and focus down the longbows as best he can with the hussars, while his own militia also on the longbows. He's got the crossbowmen there, but militia in response from Ezad. So he's going to be able to focus down the enemy militia. Going to lose Lady Ezad, which he's only just paid 100 gold for. And all in all, I think that was a pretty good fight there for the French player, even though the score player might not show it. Ooh, Optimus is actually down by quite a few vills now because Ezad, both players going for a lot of wood, shipped from home, but Ezad's been able to just pump out the manners behind it, and his vill count is now 17 ahead of his opponent. So Optimus, pretty reliant on winning some good trades here because he doesn't have the eco advantage. I think Ezad definitely does. Guerrillas do train slightly slower than the British vills as well, I think, but just the fact that Ezad's squeezed in so many fucking manners already. Like, look at this shit, he's got 180 max pop while Optimus can cap out at 90. And Ezad going for the water now as well, but Optimus, he's got this villager on the side, but he hasn't committed to the water yet, I think. He's probably just been trying to mass up as many of the crossbows and also get muskets through this, so he's probably pulled a few onto gold earlier than he perhaps liked. If he was going to do a dock transition, so... Ooh, and this is nice. The longbows are actually able to get a couple of good shots off on the hussars without being engaged upon, so even though they're trying to fight the counter, every little bit of damage on your opponent helps, even if, you know, you're not able to get straight onto the crossbows. At least the hussars, not going to take it, be so easy for them to take a run through your base. But in saying that, Ezad, I'm going to deal with Optimus splitting up a bunch of hussars now. All these ones I think are going to head over here. So Optimus now harassing Ezad over here. But these hussars are going to fall while only going to be able to get a villager or two. But in the meanwhile, Optimus is moving out into Ezad's base, looking to see where else he can poke and prod. Didn't actually go up the top, I don't think, but I think he'll know soon because he's going to have a vision from that house. I think they got slightly better vision than the Karurs. So Optimus now taking a stroll through Ezad's base. He don't think he can really stick around with this fight though at the moment because Ezad up by a little bit of pop at the moment. Even though the vill count probably offsets it. But there's plenty of vills here under attack by this big ball of the hussars of Optimus. So he's got 10 in the back of Ezad's base, forcing a bit of garrison. Need a couple of vill kills. Going to lose a bit of army for this, but at the same time, I think he's going to be able to... Does he even know about that? Oops. He can see it now. So he's going to be able to clean this up. Ooh, but in saying that, Ezad can collapse onto his army if he's not careful, because I think Optimus, with only 23 units there versus Ezad's 40 or 39, sorry. Ooh, the Karur's actually being pulled forward to try and take the fight. So these guys actually act as like a pseudo skirmisher as well. They are going to get picked off by the longbows, but at least they can offer a bit of cover for the rest of the army. But in saying that, I don't know if Optimus has the vills to really bleed here, because he's actually down by about 20 at the moment. So this could be a bit costly, but in saying that, there's not really anything left other than longbows here at the moment. There's only a handful of muskets, so, and some good control there by Optimus, running as far back away from the muskets and onto some nice easy pickings there of longbows. So even some pikes coming out now for the British player. So these guys are going to trade as well into the crossbows as the muskets will as such, but I think they're even better on cost versus the hussars. So now that front line for Optimus is falling. In the meantime, he's been all around Ezad's base, proving to be ever the pest with some great hussar control. He's going to pick off some more vills at the front of Ezad's base. Oh, he does get another one there. These hussars haven't really done a lot in this run by. They've sort of just really... Well, I suppose they've really attracted Ezad's army back. But for now, they haven't really made a connection with any big group of vills. But this is a nice find here. So Ezad going to have to garrison these guys. He's not going to get any losses out of it, but he is at least going to force 12 villagers to garrison. Ooh, but the snare getting off there is not so great for Ezad's, Optimus's hussars. He will just make it out of here. I'm losing the one in the process, but in the meanwhile, Optimus going to be able to clean up Ezad's settlers over here. These guys got a bit of wandering to do before they're actually going to get back. Ezad, not aware that that was just them going to focus the moose, I believe. This is interesting. A single crossbow focusing down a manor here, just to give your opponent a bit of map ping to make things more annoying to pay attention to. These hussars gonna have to make a run for it if they aren't careful. Ooh, a bit lucky there that Ezad not paying attention to that ball of units, but right now Ezad got a bit to focus on, losing some vills over there on the top to Optimus. Meanwhile, all this army regathering means that Optimus can probably look at taking a nice fight from here. Ezad's been investing a lot in the water. He's gone tri-dock behind this, so it's part of the reason why he's sort of not been able to keep up in terms of the land army, but he's up by 23 eco units at the moment, so that's pretty significant. Like, he's got an extra 50% on his eco, and I think he's hasn't actually really gone for any fishing techs as such, but he's got plenty of wood techs, I mean fishing cards, but he's got plenty of wood cards. This is a nice ball of hussar here for Optimus, going straight onto the hunt, but Ezad well aware of where he's going, so he's going to try and pull most of the settlers out and leave some there to finish this off as well. So that's pretty smart play for him. At the same time, frees up Optimus to siege one of the town centers, and at the same time, ooh, Ezad leaving some of the settlers behind means he does need to bring pikes here. He doesn't actually have the army on the land at the moment to really contest this, I think. I mean, that town center still being alive means it's going to be able to take a couple of pot shots, but in the meantime, there's not a lot of land units there for Ezad. He's really only got the 25 versus... Shit, what's that, about 37 there for Optimus? Same time, Optimus having to be very careful to not lose his hussar. I mean, he's kept the pikes out of the fight, but at the same time, that's a much higher army value of hussar that have been kept out of this fight. So now they're engaging, and because they've sort of come in a little bit early, I think Ezad's going to be able to pick them off a little bit easy here. But in saying that, it's an impressive back line for Optimus behind this. So he's really going to put the shits up Ezad here at the moment, whose town center over here is also under threat as well. So he may lose his forward town center while being pushed in his primary town center. But ooh, nice timing on the fortress age there for Ezad. He's going to be able to repel this force quite easily because the muskets aren't going to want to engage. His town center, it's not going to be long because he's losing quite a good amount of health off that, and Optimus can always just stream a couple more units over. So getting some more muskets, he's going to be able to take the TC, I believe. He's still picking off some individual settlers from around the map of Ezad's. It's a great raiding here from Optimus, keeping his opponent busy while he actually takes out the forward town center and even possibly this outpost, but it is a bit of an expensive trade here for him to stick around there. So he's going to bleed a couple of muskets and ultimately decide to get out because he probably needs a grenadier or two, or to bring his hussars or some pikes and try and siege that tower for good. And then he's sort of at threat of the falconet. So Ezad now has the town center advantage over Optimus now has that town center advantage over Ezad, but bearing in mind Ezad's already had a huge water boom over his opponent, so he's up 18 eco units at this point, and he has actually, I keep saying he has actually, but he's really only invested in the one fishing upgrade so far, but it is the most important, the rendering plant at 30% increased gathering for both fish and whales. Well, whale oil, I don't think it's going to be extremely useful for him yet, but I mean it will be later on in the game, just because that does food and coin, that does just coin, that does coin and fish, but at a reduced amount. Nice find here for Ezad, now fielding some hussars, so I think he actually shipped those. Yeah, he did. So he's going to kill some Garud here. They are a little bit tankier than the regular villagers, but they're not that much tankier. A lot of them getting quite low, but I think Ezad might have been best off even killing those final three before trying to take this engagement, because he's still not quite there anyway, and he's going to use them to try and hit somewhere else in Optimus base. Well, Optimus has already managed to pick off the falconets in this fight, so this has been great for him. With a mix of cuirassier, he's got vet musketeer and vet skirmisher. This is looking to be a good fight for him, and again, he's pressuring Ezad quite heavily on the land, who's now got triple barracks musket production, but he's up against Falks, so he's going to have to be very smart with how he uses his hussars, who are actually forcing an awful lot of Karurs off here. So Optimus has 28 Karurs here. I think you could actually, with that many, I think if you microed them, you could probably actually fight the hussars pretty quickly. So Optimus now really needs to take a good fight, but at the same time he's putting all the pressure on Ezad's base, taking out one of the barracks at least. But Ezad still has an impressive eco here. He's up by 32 eco units at the moment, and he's still pressuring with these hussars. I think they're going to ultimately lose versus the cuirasses, but and with the Karul there to even support them. But Ezad still has a mighty eco behind this, and as long as he can keep producing some production facilities and keep mashing out the army behind this, given the amount of water he's got, I think he's pretty safe at the moment. But Optimus has been punishing him pretty well from here, and there is a lot of land eco under threat right now. Given that Optimus has a much larger army, all he really needs to do, I guess, is just sort of raid this big wall of ills here and this big wall of ills here, and I mean, it could be over for Ezad. And another one of the barracks going down. So 3 Raxes have gone down, but we're going to have 3 stables now with the switch to veteran hussars. Don't know if we're going to see another. Surely, yeah, double barracks production here. There's triple stables. Ooh, veteran hussars going to get off, but this next hussar's not going to get trained. And Ezad forced to have to use a caravel to defend here. Now this is really smart play though, because I mean he's got a mobile garrison point to pick up. I think only the 10. I think he's going to have to just try and run these guys to the corner and try and have the caravel chip away at the land army there anyway. This could be a great engagement for Optimus. Oh, not quite. The hussars are going to be able to kill the Falcons just before they're able to get some good shots off. So they're only able to kill a minor number of the muskets. And Optimus, well, we still got a pretty even number of musket skirm here. So versus pure musket, I think they might be able to win this trade. Oh, that was a pretty far shot. Jesus Christ, what is the range on these things? Holy shit. That thing is a sniper. Did you see that? It was like shooting to fucking here. I don't think that's right. Is that thing fucking actually shooting that far? Surely not. Anyway, we've got Ezad now raiding Optimus's goal. But he's going to have to be careful with some quick micro to get out of there just in time, but he needs to get further out. Optimus needs to get as many vills as he can here because he's still down by 30 vills. It's 72 to 42 on eco, and his army size advantage is no more at the moment, I think. Oh, well, I mean, it's still there, but it's not as pronounced as it was. But he is going to snipe a good number of vills here, so this is great for him. And this is also great for him. He's managed to surround all these muskets, so he's going to get a good amount of kills. Some of the melee attacks really going to force a snare here, so even more of the musks are going to go down for him, for Ezad. So Ezad back to 108. Ooh, Optimus is also really suffering from raids from Ezad here. Who's even... What do you take out there? Was that an attempt at a town center? Whoa. Optimus has actually shipped some privateers. So... Wow, he shipped 4 privateers? So he's really going to decimate Ezad's water economy now, and it looks like Ezad is now really taking the lead on the land eco, but that water eco he had is now no more. Optimus down to 39 vills. Ezad down to 62 eco units. So a mill going up for Optimus because we are running quite low on land food. And Ezad now forced to have to ship a frigate, but I think this should be able to clean up a couple of these privateers because these guys are extremely heavy warship with their broadside attack. They're really able to tear down everything. The frigate does fall, and there is still the 3 privateers, but they are getting pretty low now. And Ezad, if he can cut this food eco here for Optimus, I think things could be pretty drastic for him. But Optimus, great land force at the moment. Still has these privateers chipping away at the dock, so I don't think Ezad's investing any more in the water at the moment. In fact, Ezad, at the moment, is really only investing in Vils and a shitload of manners to try and pick back up on his land eco, which is, I guess, the beauty of the British boom, is that this late in, you can gather so much wood and sort of recover exceptionally fast with your Vil count. And with, you know, replacing your lost houses as a 2-in-1. But Optimus going for a nice sneaky town centre up the back of his base here. And Ezad a little bit unfortunate to find anything with this raid group, but he's also a bit careful, but he knows, well, there's an almost finished hunt here, surely something's going on, and he does find the sneaky town centre. This is really rough for Optimus now. He's going to lose even more Vils because he's still down around that 30 Vil count at the moment, but he is getting his own water behind this, and he has managed to successfully clear as much of Ezad's water as possible. Destroyed the dock. Ezad trying to get his own dock, but it's going to be a bit slower than Optimus's dock at the moment. So it looks as though Optimus is going to snatch back the water from Ezad 25 minutes into the game. And it looks as though we've still got another 15 minutes or so to go. Man, it's amazing the ship range. It's so fucking OP. They're like siege units, but even more Ember. But ooh, a frigate out here for Ezad, so I think he's actually shipped this one. And now he's going to deny Optimus a chance to throw up a town centre yet again, or is he? Because Optimus has plenty of units here to back this up. At the moment, populations are pretty much even on Ezad. With a much bigger eco, means his army size is actually a little bit smaller, so Optimus, I think, has lost all his builders, but there we go, he's got another one on it now. Going to be able to get that town centre up, and he's got some more privateers, but the frigate might be able to pick them off. Because, I mean, if it focuses down one at a time, and this one's focusing the house, if he focuses down the low one, I think Ezad should win this water trade. Yeah, so the water fight a little bit slow here, but there we go. One of the privateers going down, another frigate out, so it looks like Ezad's going to be able to snatch back the water from his French opponent. So I don't know if Optimus is actually trading anything out of the dock as such, or if this is a bit of a bait in a sense, just to force the second frigate out. Because I mean, those things, I don't think they're cheap by any means. And even though they don't lock you up on population, there's still the cost factor. And so Ezad still up by quite a bit of eco pop, by 23 workers at the moment, and I think that's more than the difference in the population than in the players. So Ezad trying to get a couple of good Vil kills here, which he will, but he's going to have to bring back the rest of the cuirasses to take this fight, because there's not really any muskets here for Ezad at the moment. So I think this could actually be... Ooh, he really needs to bring the cuirasses in. But I think this could be a great fight for him, because I don't think there's... Oh, there is. Oh, there they are. There is plenty of muskets there. I mean, if he can get them onto the hussars and the longbows, this should be a really nice fight for him. But there is still stacks of muskets there for Ezad. Explorer does go down with no overkill, so that's really nice control there for Ezad. But does Optimus have enough here? I don't know if he does. Ooh, these cuirasses coming in though after picking off some Vils may just be the difference. So Optimus is now only 15 Vils behind. That gap is shrunk by 8 while this fight has gone on. And even though he's losing all that really expensive cavalry, he's forcing some garrisons here from Ezad, forcing the rest of the army back into the corner of his base. So, ooh, but Ezad's trying to pressure on the land base here, but town centers are actually a really great repellent of the water, because other than the mortar ships, which are pretty busted, I don't know if we're going to see Ezad get them because they're a bit cheap noob stuff, but he really is sort of now forced to abandon the frigate idea. They're frigate useless now. Hey. So scores are pretty level at the moment, only about 180 points in it at the moment. And Ezad going to now focus down one of these manor houses. I mean Optimus, so focus down one of the manor houses of Ezad. You might be able to force him to have to build some manors. But at the same time, you can't really force a British player to build manors, because, I mean, it's always just going to help top up the Vil count. So it's been a hell of a back and forth this game. The water changed hands a couple of times. Control of the land changed hands a couple of times. Do like this little wall off, keeping everything a bit safe, making it a bit hard for Ezad to move around the map. I mean, if he throws down another little wall through here, it's really hard to get on the gold over here, because these 3 gold mines is pretty much most of the gold left on the map, I guess, because Ezad, I mean, Ezad will be pretty much finished these ones over here, while Optimus, these ones are relatively fresh. And Ezad starting to creep ahead in the score. Like, he's still got that eco advantage up his sleeve, but Optimus has managed to mostly close it now with better, I think, land production. But ooh, Ezad, just as I say that, is about to ramp up his fishing eco once again. Now that things have sort of stabilized for him on the land, he's able to poke and prod at Optimus, who's still only at about the 86 pop mark. So now Ezad has a bit of a pop advantage on the land in terms of his army. It's getting a nice pick off of the Explorer there. So who's going to go home the champion here, guys?
Yes.
What a nice find here by Ezad, but Optimus very quick with the garrison, so Optimus knows he's going to be able to make it back to his army in time and even be able to use the Kuros in the army. So Ezad not going to want to stick around for now and maybe rely on the water boom to really kick in once again, because he's still got an impressive amount of water eco contributing. Well, I mean, he's really only got the 1 cup, but I think he's actually gone for the upgrade for his fishing ships. So what's their rate? Ah, yeah, it's pretty high. Pretty good. So these outlying manors under a bit of threat, but like I said, British players, you can never have too many, never have to rebuild too many, because it's always just going to give you more Vils as well. And while this is going on, Optimus can't lose a musket there. Not really successful in getting the house, but not going to lose anything too consequential. Ooh, but Barbary Corsairs running around his base at the moment. They've run into some skirms, so they're not going to want to stick around there. So Ezad, ooh, now he's going to actually try and get them on these Karurs, just to try and thin out Optimus' food eco at the moment, because he's not got a lot of food in the bank. So I mean, if a fight doesn't go his way, he's not going to be able to replenish anything. But Ezad does sacrifice a bit of gold getting these guys, or a shipment. So that outpost going down, and yeah, it would have been a gold investment there, so not sure if it was the best one for Ezad, but now he's got some Amazons that he's fielding that are picking off some of these Karuras, which is quite a nice hit for him, but now both the players really only engaging with half their armies. All this could really go in from both players. But Ezad actually getting some arsenal upgrades, up your arsenal. Infantry breastplate, so I think that's going to give the muskets health. We'll see. Ah, no, I think it gives the longbows health, sorry. The Amazon's successful in thinning out the worker count again. Some more Corsairs streaming across the map to harass the villagers while this fight's going on. The Amazon's gonna join the fight. And Ezad gonna go for a town center here, so players up in the ante with the town centers. Ezad finally getting a second town center. Oh no, finally a second and then a third town center on the land. While Optimus has gone all the way up to the 4. He's getting cavalry cuirass, so that'll give his cavalry some health. Really nice for him. I don't know what's happened with these. Oh, here they are. The frigates are still out in the water. And Optimus up to 70 vils. Ezad up to 72. So these guys have done a wonderful job at harassing one another's economies and subsequently replacing it themselves. One of the monks getting picked off there. I think the other priest is... Ooh, very nice garrison there from Optimus. But this will be a rough fight for him, I think, because Ezad does have slightly more units, but Ezad backing off and in the meanwhile losing a few of said units. Gonna stick around and focus down goons. Thank you for the follow. Focus down goons with longbows, which is probably not the best decision there. So Ezad off to a pretty rough start to this fight, and Optimus off to a pretty good one. That's a really aggressive arsenal placement too. But now that the fight's going on a little bit, I think there's a bit more of a front line to it for Ezad here. So he's still got some hussars in the mix, still got some corsairs in the mix, and he's really forcing the musket skirmball to really retreat here for Optimus. So Ezad starting to make some headway on the land, but there are now Karuras able to join the fight, a handful of skirms as well, and with a bit of good micro behind the wall, I think Optimus might be able to thin down the front line and recover this trade a little bit. And he is streaming in a bunch of Karuras to help out here, so this could really help because they are a bit of a pseudo skirm. If they focus down all the muskets, they can really turn the tide of this battle. Yeah, so they are going to be able to help out against the muskets, particularly considering... Has he gone for that upgrade for both? There is a card you can get that benefits both skirms and muskets, so that's pretty full on. I mean, sorry, both skirms and Karuras, so it's pretty full on to sneak that one in as the French. Bit of aggressive gold gathering here, because I think it's pretty much Optimus' only option at the moment here. Needs to get some more estates behind this and try and secure this gold mine down here, so he needs this fight to go well. But he's sort of relying on just mining through it at the moment to be able to just keep his production up. And now the Karuras are going to join the fight, so they're going to really be able to thin out the musket number, while the muskets of his own can really just focus on staying alive and thinning out the hussar count of Ezad. But Ezad in the meanwhile, because he's got the longbows here, these guys are going to be able to cut through the Karuras as well as the rest of this army. So the audio's glitched for some reason, guys. I apologize. I think it's a mix of the replay and just having the game open so long. Barbed Corsairs joining the mix as well. So these guys really quite expensive for the value that they bring, but at the same time they're just a great tank to have, to be able to run something into muskets and have hussars attack over the top. But now Ezad having to retreat and Optimus streaming everything forward. So Optimus, is he just going to focus down houses? Oh, he's just going to try and back up the gold mine because he knows he needs to rely on this one, while Ezad basically doesn't have any gold left at all. And is relying, well, I wouldn't say, is it pretty much purely?
Come on, yes, man.
Yeah, it looks like it pretty much is purely on fishing boats on the whales at this stage of the game. So that's nice for him in the sense that he's not going to need to transition to the estates unless he loses that water eco, because it is a pretty significant goal gain for him at the moment. I think it's enough for him to be able to keep massing up the units he needs to mass up at this stage, because he is neck and neck on pop with Optimus at the moment. In fact, he does have 13 more vills out, but he is going to get a good number of kills here, restricting Optimus's eco, because yeah, Optimus has got his first estate there. And Optimus is going to try and siege Ezad's TC. He's got a few vills in garrison there, but Ezad all the way up to 89 vills behind this. He's still 12 ahead of Optimus. He's looking to take this fight. He's bringing some hussars into the mix, so he's going to be able to get some good kills on the skirms now. But now that this whole army is sort of split off, Ezad really probably needs to stream these guys in as well, while Optimus really probably doesn't need him to and needs to get the cuirasses here in time. So got the fight going on now, but there's nothing really to block for the muskets, so they're having to try and do a mix of melee and range damage to these hussars, not really focusing down anything, but in the meanwhile the cuirasses taking out that Barbary Corsair hussar army that was on them, so now they can start to push onto the longbows, which is going to be really good for Optimus here, because these guys are just an out and out counter, but he's still got more hussars, cuirasses being attacked by hussars and corsairs at the moment. There is some more muskets coming in as well. So they're in melee mode, these muskets, so they're going to be especially effective against the cuirasses. This player's still dancing in the center here in this gold mine. It's about half done here for Optimus, while Ezad pretty much just is still relying on that water eco at this stage. Although he is going to start getting some dragoons into the play, which is really going to start hurting these cuirasses. Top the fact that the longbows are getting some nice shots off on Optimus's army here. So a few more muskets going to go down here. Optimus is going to have to retreat, but I think he's safe to get most of this gold before he's got to back out here. The Corsairs probably going to make a beeline for the gold mine. Dig, 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 motherfuckers. Trading post built. Who the fuck's got a trading post? Okay. Nuka clothing. So that is what, an armor upgrade for infantry or for cavalry? I didn't check. Didn't tell me. But I suppose you can build the units as well if you have a max out here. It looks like our players are going to struggle to do so from here because they've run out of gold on the map now. Big garrison there as well. A lot of eco for Optimus being locked up when he's already down 13 vills. So he's down effectively 28 there briefly. And that gold mine not going to last much longer. So he doesn't actually have the wood to throw up more estates. But he can get the more wood pretty quickly, I think. But he's going to want to probably try and take the fight with the Karus here. So he's trying to collapse onto Ezad's army. But Ezad, I think, just has a slight lead in population here at the moment. And these budget skirms, the Karus, the villagers, need to really put in the work here. But Optimus somehow making it work. But Ezad just has a little bit more in the queue, I think. Optimus has so much food in the bank, but not enough of the other resources to really replenish this fight. Meanwhile, I guess you could say the same about Ezad and food at the moment. But it looks like Ezad seemingly repelled Optimus for the minute. So they're going to be fighting under the outpost, and Optimus trying to mine a little bit of gold in this. Now Optimus trying to kite, but Ezad on his tail with both hussars and longbows, so Probably the perfect combo to be able to just rely on a snare, ruining your plans, and even that priest going down. So Optimus not going to be able to heal up when he retreats. And that's a lot of Karuas to have garrison, but it also... Does it up the tower damage? No, it doesn't up tower damage, I don't believe. And these Karuas going to be able to focus down one of the goons, which is handy for Optimus, but things are looking super drastic for him at the moment because Ezad is now about 130 pop ahead, still streaming in a crazy amount of hussars at this point. And he's got some goons in production behind this, so he's going to be able to clean up all these low health cuirasses, but there's still plenty of muskets here for Optimus at the moment. The Karuas kept busy in this fight. And Ezad up to 104 eco pop at the moment. More muskets on the field here for Ezad, but Optimus will start struggling to get the gold in a minute. Town center under threat, but as Optimus overstayed his welcome here because he's going to lose a few muskets against this army. While the hussars are going to start falling, but that's not so great for Optimus. All the lower health hussars not being focused down. So Ezad's really pushing into him at the moment. He's just about maxed out. Optimus still at that 115 pop mark, and Ezad's really able to boom behind this, but Optimus trying to work towards his, what's that, the industrial age. It looks like Ezad's going to be able to punish him for trying to get there, because that's going to be a lot of resources invested, and I mean he needs to make something happen. Obviously he wants to try and get a factory, I think, at this stage of the game, or both his factories, and get some of his upgrades out, but I don't know if Ezad is gonna let him get there. The outpost now under threat by a bunch of settlers. At this stage I think Ezad can afford to throw away some settlers. He's got a 109 eco pop and he's fished out the whole map. He's just on every single one of the whales at the moment. Things are going swimmingly for him at the moment, and Optimus, Fortress Age, Industrial Age about to kick in, but will it be enough for our friend over here in the red trunks? Alright, so he's gone to Industrial Age. And he, does it say he's at the Karua build limit? Is it 80? It must be 80. Or 79, rather than a normal 99. Yay, French pop efficiency. But Industrial Age now is kicked in. For Optimus, he's relying on upgraded musks to really help put in the work here. Well, it's a huge number of goons here for Ezad. So these guys are going to be able to trade pretty well against the Musk, considering they're going to have the longbowmen in to support them. So Optimus down by about 30 population at the moment. Well, these guys are even going on the berries. Like, that's how desperate we're getting. AoE 3 players going for berries. Desperation, man. Trading post. Well, is that going for Clubman? Because I think he actually shipped them. No. He must have had a trading post briefly and then had it destroyed, because he's got the Clubman out here as well to try and harass, but in the meanwhile Optimus is pushing into him. Ezad's just about maxed out, so I guess it makes sense to have Clubman, because they'll let you basically produce an armor unit that doesn't take any. But Optimus is sort of relying on Guard Musketeer kicking in now to be able to win this fight, but I think Ezad might have just a little bit too much to be able to turn this around. So he's got his own Guard Dragoon, Guard Bowman on the way now. Like, bearing in mind he was fighting with veteran units up against Guard units, but even still, I think he just had just enough units, and now with the Nuka Clubman and these musks, he's able to sneak into Optimus base. He's just trying to go and harass that estate at the moment, because Optimus is really struggling for gold and food at the moment. Ezad honestly not struggling at all for food, really probably needs to worry about his gold. But he can always, I guess, use his market to trade some of that food into gold. And right now, he is still up by about 28 pop. Things looking great. Clubman harassing his opponent's base. And now he's got some culverins in the mix as well, just in case there's been Falks coming out from Optimus. Nuka Clubman gonna fall. Unfortunately, Lady Ezad and this little pressure push here gonna go a little bit to waste, but I think at this stage Ezad does have the resources to waste, because he is up at 111 eco pop to 78 eco pop. So things are looking great, because he's managed to keep Optimus from, I guess, properly maxing out and forcing a fight that really punishes that bigger eco count. And so Optimus trying to defend that town center with all his might at the moment, but he's got to deal with Clubman streaming in on the other side of the map, because yeah, there we go, there's the other trade post. So Ezad double trade post, Nuka Clubman production through all this, because he's just had an insane amount of food in the bank and a little bit of wood in the bank. And so he's going to be able to try and siege this town center, and Optimus doing what he can to keep the Nuka Clubman at bay, because Curasa, I think, will fight pretty cost effectively against them, but at this stage, I think, with that eco lead, Ezad going to be able to push that TC. So Optimus, does he get falconets from here? Or, well, I mean, I suppose it's hard because there's already Colves, and this opponent's really got a lot of goons already. So that town center sacked by Ezad, and now Ezad's really able to overwhelm the cuirasses over this side, because I mean, he's got that double production, and I don't know if Optimus has really been able to afford double production of cuirasses just for defending that now. And GG, there we go. Ezad is our champion in the ESOC 2 Towns tournament for 2022. GG, well played, guys.